Yo, what's up? Jared here with Jared Hoffman here. Let's say my full name. Jared Hoffman here with another edition of the Better Than Less Than podcast. Appreciate everyone who is tuning in or who will be tuning in soon. Uh, if you can't leave a like, comment. If you can't leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel, please subscribe to become a level 1 or 2 member to get all the exclusive content from the HBCU Sports team. Follow us on all of our social platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on Threads. Search up HBCU Sports and you will find us there. And you can go to hbcusports.com for all of the latest news in sports. If you are new here, the Better Than Less Than podcast is dedicated to the Division II and NAIA HBCUs. So if you are a fan of the CIAA, the SIAC, or the HBCUAC, or our independent friends like Langston, Lincoln, Missouri, West Virginia State, Zula, then you will get that content here on this podcast. If you are a fan of the MEAC, then we have a show for you. It's called The MEAC and More with Chris Stevens, where he talks about obviously the MEAC and the independent friends at the Division I level like North Carolina A&T, Hampton, and Tennessee State. And we also have a show dedicated to the SWAC, which is where the majority of our viewers are tuning in from. So that is the SWAC page podcast, and when we do that show, that is usually on Fridays. So, and the Miak and More is on Wednesdays at noon with Chris Stevens. So Miak and More with Chris Stevens, noon Wednesday. More than likely, the Better Than Less Than podcast is either at 2 or 2:30 on Thursdays, and the SWAC page podcast is on Fridays. Time fluctuates, but it's usually on Fridays. And our roundtable show is usually on Fridays as well. So if it's not the SWAC page on Fridays, it'll be the roundtable on Fridays. So tune in to all the content with the HBCU sports team, giving you all the latest coverage with that all the latest happenings in HBCU sports. All right, so we are going to talk about Albany State's unfortunate end to their season. But before we get to that, want to get to a quick news item that dropped, I believe, yesterday or 2 days ago, one of those two, that Morehouse announced that they are moving on from head coach Terrence Mathis after 2 seasons at the helm. Terrence Mathis's run as head coach of Morehouse has come to an end. He ends his run with a 4-16 overall record, including a 4-12 record in conference play. This past season, he led the team to a 3-7 mark and a 3-4 record in conference play, which was the most wins Morehouse has had in a season since, I believe, 2021. I don't like this move by Morehouse because you only gave him 2 seasons, and you've been a team that has been either a 1-win or a 0-win team consistently in the past few years. So I don't know what you were expecting Terrence Mathis to do in 2 seasons that you felt like you needed to move on from him, but the impatience, I don't like it at all. Did you expect him to give you a Teddy Keaton type run where you're in the SIAC championship game after just 1 season? That doesn't make sense. What about that makes sense? I don't get that at all. Everybody isn't Teddy Keaton where they can lead a team to an SIAC championship in just 1 season, which, by the way, he brought over the players that he had from Allen that were established that led Allen to a 7-3 overall record. So Teddy Keaton had that going for him. You expecting Terrence Mathis to do something like that in just 2 seasons? It doesn't make sense when he hasn't been able to recruit the guys in the building that could give him the best chance to get Morehouse into championship contention. It doesn't make sense to me that you only give him 2 seasons when Morehouse has had no history of winning in recent memory. And a lot of people's lifetimes who are, especially the people's lifetime who are on the campus of Morehouse right now, they don't know anything about Morehouse winning. So I don't understand what expectation you had for Terrence Mathis, but I'm not riding with this. I don't like this at all. Hopefully they find the coach that they are looking for that will eventually lead them to that championship success. Hopefully they give that coach time. Because like I said, they just had their best season in 4 years. How does that not buy you time? Now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say maybe Terrence Mathis got another job. Because it doesn't say that he was dismissed. It said departure. So maybe Terrence Mathis got another job lined up. Maybe he got hired to join a Division I coaching staff, or maybe he got hired to coach a high-level Division II or maybe a low-level Division I team. Who knows? But what I know is that if this is a termination, I don't understand it. But if it's not a termination, I'm getting ahead of myself and I apologize. But I don't understand. I don't understand if this is a termination. I don't understand it. You're moving in the right direction. Morehouse actually looked better this year than they have in previous years. They looked miles better. The record may not reflect it, but I promise you, if you actually watched Morehouse this season, they looked 10 times better. The secondary was elite this year. Elite secondary play this year. Now, they had a guy who has been among the top defensive backs in, I'm trying to look up his name because I forget his name every single time. Carlos Dunovan. My bad, Carlos. But Carlos Dunovan was his numbers were down this season compared to other years, but he's been a guy that has been someone you can't throw to. Don't throw in his direction. And this Morehouse secondary has been that like that as a unit. Like don't throw in their direction. Be cautious throwing in their direction. So there was building blocks. There was a foundation there for Morehouse to potentially find a lane to contention. So I don't know where Morehouse goes from here, but I'm just interested to see where they go from here. Because I felt like they were going in the right direction. I don't know how long it was going to take before they got to that championship level, but I felt like they were closer this year than they have been in quite a long time. Okay, with that out the way, we will move on to Albany State and their Division II playoff run coming to an end in the Super Region 1 finals. They lose to Newberry 31-24, ending their magical season with a 12-2 overall record. Still a remarkable season, setting a new record for wins in a season, with 12, and becoming the first SIAC team to make it to the regional final of the Division II playoffs since Tuskegee in 2016, and it marking the second straight year that an HBCU has made it to the regional finals after Virginia Union did it in a Super Region. No, wait, hold on. I confused myself. Albany State made it to the Super Region 2 regional final. I don't know if I said that, but I want to correct myself if I said Super Region 1. Albany State made it to the Super Region 2 finals this year, and Virginia Union last year made it to the Super Region 1 final. So second year in a row that an HBCU has made it to the regional finals of Division II playoffs. This was a very disappointing outing for Albany State. That didn't look like it was going to be that in the first quarter. They were up 21-3, clicking on all cylinders. The offensive game was going. And before we even get into that, we got to talk about the quarterback change that happened. It was out of necessity. It wasn't a monk throwing a monkey wrench in the game plan to try to throw Newberry off their game. Isaiah Knowles, it was reported that he missed this game due to a lower leg injury. The SIAC Player of the Year, Isaiah Knowles, who had been starting to get back into the rhythm like he had before his injury. Remember, he missed 3 games in the regular season, came back for the Benedict game, which helped Albany State take one step closer to clinching the SIAC and handing Benedict their first loss of the season. So he was starting to look better. He was a little shaky when he first came back, but he was starting to put it together a little bit. Led Albany State to an SIAC championship and wins in the first 2 rounds, but missed this one due to an apparent lower leg injury. And we'll get more into Isaiah Knowles in a second. Excuse me. But in his place, it was Izzieri Jackson, I want to say. I apologize. I'm pretty sure I butchered the heck out of that young man's name, and I apologize. Xavier Izzieri. I'm sorry. Xavier. I said Izzieri Jackson. I apologize. But this young man came in and he actually played very well in relief of Isaiah Knowles. 235 passing yards and a touchdown. Keep in mind, this was his only game of the season. He did not play this season. When Isaiah Knowles went down with injury, it was Jaden Kinney and it was another quarterback who was in for the Golden Rams, Zaylen Bell. So Xavier is here again. I'm so sorry, but Xavier Izzieri, this was his first game of the season. Like not even playing in garbage time when the team was up by 5-6 touchdowns in most games that they played this year. This was his first game action. And by the way, he's a freshman. So he considering the circumstances, he played tremendous. He played tremendous given the circumstances. Tyant Weiss had a very good game, 91 rushing yards on 21 attempts and 2 touchdowns. But ultimately, this game came down to a couple of factors. One, the injury bug. We already mentioned Isaiah Knowles going down with injury. But Amari Stewart, I believe it was, went down with an injury in this game. And I don't believe he returned. Tyrell Gainey, another person we'll get into, he went down with an injury in the either the first or second quarter. And that in part led to the avalanche that happened in that second quarter. And the Albany State had a lineman who had to be stretchered off due to injury. So injuries really plagued Albany State in this game. That's the first thing. The second thing is what we went into this game saying was you have to stop the pass. Newberry is a pass-heavy team. They're one of the top passing offenses in the country. And in the first quarter, they had them in check. They played just about as a good a first quarter as you possibly could. Offensively and defensively, did not let they bent but didn't break in that first quarter. They gave up a big drive, but only they held them to a field goal. They gave up another drive, but got an interception in the end zone. So they didn't allow to Newberry to get off to a fast start. And they themselves got off to a fast start. Scored a couple of 3 touchdowns in the first quarter. But the second quarter, things took a drastic turn. Just could not keep up with the Newberry receivers. Got called for pass interference. It had to be like 4 or 5 times in that second quarter. Allowed Newberry to get good field position and get down into the red zone, scoring a couple of touchdowns and made it a 1-possession game. Had a chance to extend the lead from it. So it was 21-17 with the first half coming to an end. And Albany State went for a field goal to try to make it a full 7-point game. Now, keep in mind, this was the first time in the playoffs that Albany State had gone for a field goal. So I don't know if they had gotten into a routine of, you know, getting the field goal team out there and, you know, getting the formation right and blocking right. But long story short, Newberry blocks the field goal and returns it for a touchdown. So now instead of being up 24-17 at the end of the, 21-17 at the end of the first half, they're going into the second half down 24-21. And the momentum they never regained momentum after that. Even though the defense tried their hardest, to keep this team in the game, forced a couple of turnovers, forced Newberry to punt in most occasions where they were in scoring position, and Newberry missed the field goal. So Albany State had its opportunities, had one last gasp on the final drive, but could not connect in the end zone. And that was all she wrote for Albany State and their record-setting season. I still stand on the fact that they have nothing to be disappointed about. This was a historic season for Albany State, one that they should absolutely be proud of, but you can't help but feeling they left a lot on the table in this game. They left a lot on the table. That second quarter is going to eat it. It should eat at them. It should, because it was not even probably, it was the worst they've looked all season. That second quarter, it was the worst they have looked all season. And even saying that, they still were only down 3 after that. Gave up a big touchdown run in the third quarter, which resulted in the injury of the lineman that had to be stretched out. But they were still in the game at the end of the first half. It's just that I feel like that run took their confidence. That avalanche by Newberry took their confidence, and they were never able to regain it. The defense played as well as they could in that second half to give them a chance to win that game, but the offense just couldn't find the end zone in the second half. That magic that they had in that first quarter ran out almost immediately once the second quarter hit. And that put an end to what has been an incredible season for Albany State. And it's looking like they're not going to get a chance to run it back for a number of reasons. The first of which, hold on a second, I'm messing up here, pressing the wrong buttons. First reason being, I promise I'm building up to something. First reason being that their star quarterback is now in the transfer portal. Isaiah Knowles announced on Monday that he would be entering the transfer portal, and has already gotten some offers from FCS HBCUs. He got an offer from Jackson State. He got an offer from, I believe it was Howard that he got an offer from, and the 2 Florida SWAC schools, Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. I have a feeling that he might be choosing between one of those 2 Florida schools, and it might be the one with Florida in its name. We'll get to why in a second. But so Isaiah Knowles is gone, and the hero from the SIAC championship game, Tyrell Gainey, who was also hurt in this Division II playoff game, he has announced that he's into the transfer portal. So two of your key guys, one from your offense and one from your defense, are now gone. So that hurts. I can't imagine that Tyant Weiss will be there much longer. And hopefully you're able to keep time. Hopefully you're able to keep him. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I gotta assume that he might be out the door soon. You gotta wonder with the receiving core: Javian Jackson, Jamil Williams, Amari Stewart, Corey Petty. Who? All right, WSU Ram Nation. We already talked about y'all. But uh, he threw me off with that over here taking victory laps because y'all hired Tory Woodbury. Whoop de doo. But yeah, so Albany State is going to look very different, and the biggest reason why they are going to look very different next year is because their head coach is apparently on the move. So the worst kept secret was that Quinn Gray was going to be in line for some head coaching jobs, and more than likely it was going to be Florida A&M. And the worst kept secret came true because it is being announced that Quinn Gray has accepted the job as Florida A&M's next head coach. Now, this is not an official announcement. I don't know the publication that this Mr. Humer is a part of, where he's breaking this news. He is a Florida A&M alum, so. Oh, okay. All right, WSU you ran nation. You be you. All right now. Don't let it happen though. Don't let it happen. I don't think Amir is interested in coaching, but don't speak something into existence that you, because we gonna be on y'all heels if that happens. But I'm gonna let that sit for now, because I highly doubt that's gonna happen. But anyway, back to this. Quinn Gray, it was the worst kept secret that he was going to be in line for the Florida A&M coaching job. You know, a lot of people within the HBCU football space pretty much knew that James Colsey was on borrowed time after losing to Bethune-Cookman in the Florida Classic for the first time since they've been in the SWAC, and losing in the season finale against Mississippi Valley State in that redo game after the game was canceled earlier this season. So it was the worst kept secret that James Colsey was going to be gone, and it was the worst kept secret that Quinn Gray was going to be in line for the job. And lo and behold, it's looking like he has got it, and he will be in Tallahassee for however long they choose to have him, or as long as Quinn Gray wants to be there. Because there's a world where he decides, where he gets a different offer, gets a different, much better offer. So for now, Quinn Gray, the FAMU Hall of Famer, a former NFL quarterback out of Florida A&M, is now returning to Tallahassee, looking to revitalize the Florida A&M team, who has hit some brief hard times in the wake of Willie Simmons' departure. I don't want to say the wrong word. I was about to say dismissal. His departure, now doing big things at Florida International, so, and the Rattlers have been on some hard times, 7-5 last year, 5-7 this year, their first losing record in quite some time, since before Willie even got there. So we'll see what Quinn Gray can do, but this means that Albany State, bringing the Division II element back into it, that means that now Albany State is not only looking for a new head coach, it means that they're looking for a new supporting cast, because I imagine Isaiah Knowles might be following him to Tallahassee. I imagine Tyrell Gainey will be going there as well. And I'm pretty sure some other guys who are on this Albany State team will be making their way to Tallahassee along with them. Shout out to Zach in the chat. Said one thing about FAMU, they're gonna do is leak a coaching hire. Absolutely. But hopefully this one works out better than the last one did. There was a lot of talk about Florida A&M wanting to keep it in house, and they kept it in house after Willie left. They got James Colsey. The players vouched for James Colsey. They campaigned for James Colsey taking over the job. He got it, and it didn't really work out for them. So, and this is Quinn Gray is somebody else that they campaigned for, not just the players but the alumni. They wanted Quinn Gray. Winston-Salem State is scheduled to open season versus Albany State. Listen, if things didn't change, if there was no change, and this Albany State team was able to run it back, it was gonna be scary hours potentially for Winston-Salem State. But now, we got to see what kind of team Albany State is able to put out there. Because keep in mind, this is an Albany State team that has not had a losing record since 2001. They have not been below 500 since 2001. You talking about one of the most consistent HBCU football divisions, one of the most consistent college football programs right now. They have not been below 500 since 2001. There are some FBS schools, Power 5 schools, that can't even say that. So the next coach of Albany State is going to have those kind of expectations follow them, with them into the office. So we'll see what Albany State is able to do in terms of a coaching hire. I have a feeling that, well, I don't have a feeling. I don't know at all. I don't know who they will potentially go after, or, what kind of direction they want to go in, whether they go for an offensive guy or a defensive guy. Considering how well this defense played, you might want to build on that. But I don't know. I have no idea where Albany State goes from here, but time will tell. Zach has a question in the chat about my alma mater. He asks, is there any update on the Bowie State job? As of right now, no. There are no leaks. There are no candidates that have been made available. I should reach out to Clyde Dowdy, who is Bowie State's athletic director, and see if there's any updates on the job. But as of right now, no, there have not been any. There hasn't been any new news about who will be Bowie State's next head coach. I've already put, hey, relax, WSU Remination. You putting a little too much stank on my school in these comments right now. You dragging it a little bit. Like, relax. You got yourself a little coach. Whoop-de-doo. Y'all still got to do the work on the field. So calm down a little bit. You putting a little too much on my school right now. Calm down. But to answer your question, Zach, no. There's no update that I know of. I've already put out there who I hope is the guy that they hire. I would love for it to be Anton Sewell. That's who I would want it to be. If I had my say in the matter, I would want it to be Anton Sewell. I'm not sure if that's attainable, but if we don't get Anton Sewell, I would love for it to be Diego Rowland. Diego Rowland has been a guy who has been open about, having been interviewed in the past for different coaching jobs, including some head coaching jobs. So if he's in the market for being a head coach, Diego Rowland will be a great hire for Bowie State. He's played a significant role in Virginia Union, their championship success. So I would love for him to get that opportunity to be a head coach, especially considering we have the talent, not just in the room now, but in the area in Maryland, So, excuse me, but yeah, I'm really interested to see where Bowie goes with it. I kind of want to be surprised a little bit, but I would love to get some insight on where the coaching search is. I can't imagine that we'll go past Christmas without hearing something, but who knows? But yeah, to answer your question, no, I don't have an update. but that's my wish list. It would be Anton Sewell. It'll be Diego Rowland. Henry Frazier, is he in the market? Is he available? Because I wouldn't mind them spending the block on Henry Frazier. I wouldn't mind that at all. So yeah, but that's that on the Bowie State front. All right, now putting a bow on the Division II HBCU football season. This was fun. It was fun. We saw history made. Curtis Allen setting a new CIAA record for single season rushing yards, rushing touchdowns. Should be the Harlan Hill Trophy winner. That will be announced before the national championship game next weekend. So fingers crossed. I believe next Friday, the day before the Division II national championship game, that he gets that. Like we mentioned, Albany State having their historic season, despite the fact that Isaiah Knowles missed 3 games. So, kudos to them and their incredible season. Having 5 HBCUs make it to the Division II playoffs, in addition to Albany State and Virginia Union, the CIAA champion Johnson C. Smith, them getting over the hump and winning their first CIAA championship since 1969, winning their first CIAA championship game, so yeah, that the historic run for Johnson C. Smith and Maurice Flowers continuing to build his profile within Division II football, college football in general, coaching in general, so and then Kentucky State and Felton Huggins, having their breakout season, making their Division II playoffs. By the way, it was Johnson C. Smith's first ever Division II playoffs as well. So and Benedict as well, making it to the Division II playoffs. So this was a historic season, and then not to mention, the teams outside of them that had a chance to make a run. Fayetteville State, they were about as close as you could get to eking out a at-large bid for the Division II playoffs. Just unfortunate that things didn't go their way, and they didn't get that call. Allen had some pretty significant games. Edward Waters looked like they were going to be a threat for the SIAC championship. So going forward, those are 2 teams that you should watch for having a breakout year next year. It was going to be, I figured Morehouse was probably going to be a breakout team, but unfortunately they moved on from Terrence Mathis. So I don't know if they're going to have a hard reset going into next year. Central State is a team that, despite their record, they were one of the top defensive units in turn of force and turnovers. They were number 1 in the country in Division II football in general in terms of force and turnovers. So there's a lot to be excited about going forward. There's a lot of teams that have the opportunity to have breakout years. Miles started to put things together after a slow start, so I'm excited for the future of Division II HBCU football. There's a couple of teams that could have some turnaround seasons, and yeah, it's something that we'll definitely want to pay attention to. We'll only time will tell whether or not Tory Woodbury's impact will be with Winston-Salem State, if they're able to get back to that championship level that they were at in the early 2010s, and historically where Winston-Salem State has been at. We'll see what kind of impact Bowie's new head coach will have, and the real bill Baker suggests for Albany State's future head coaching job. Who knows? I don't know what Dawson Odom's connection to the Georgia area is, if he has a Georgia connection, but I don't think that would be a bad hire by any sense. I think that'll be a pretty good hire. It'll be risky, it'd be a slight risk, but I wouldn't object to Dawson Odoms being the next head coach of Albany State, but we'll see, But yeah, I think yeah, just really excited about the future of HBCU football. It's unfortunate that it's come to an end. Well, technically, it's not over yet because we still got to see if Curtis Allen takes home the Division II, the Harlan Hill Trophy. So, and also, congratulations to Curtis Allen. This wasn't on the docket, but he was named the Offensive Player of the Year by HBCU Go. So, another award to add to his trophy case. You and me both, Angela. You and me both. Thank you so much for your who is a member of ours. So shout out to Angela Johnson in the chat saying she's looking forward to the next football season. I am as well. Hopefully, I make it to the Black College Football Hall of Fame Classic. I don't know if that matchup has been announced yet, but I would love to go to that game. To be a part of the official start of the Division II HBCU football season. But yeah, that we close the curtain on football season for now, and we move forward to basketball season. We got a full slate ahead of us in the SIAC on Saturday. So I believe this will be the first full slate of the season in the SIAC, and we got some significant games going down this weekend in the CIAA. I believe Virginia State plays its conference opener. I know they played Shaw, but I don't think that counted toward their conference record. So I believe Virginia State will be playing its first official conference game of the season, beginning their defense of their CIAA title. So we'll see how that goes down. And it's against Fayetteville State, one of the top teams in the conference. So we'll see how that goes as we move forward into basketball season. But until next time, I've been Jared Hoffman with the Better Than Less Than podcast. Thank you, everyone who has tuned in, everyone who participated in the chat. I really appreciate you guys, especially WSU Ram Nation, basically taking a victory lap for his school hiring a head coach. But thank you, everyone. If you can, leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe to become a level 1 or 2 member to get all the exclusive content from the HBCU Sports team. Follow us on all of our social platforms. Search up HBCU Sports on them. I guarantee we will pop up. And you can go to hbcusports.com for all the latest news HBCU Sports. Until next time, I'm Jared Hoffman. See you guys.